Hello, my name is Ray DiGiuseppe, Director of Professional Education at the Albert Ellis Institute and Professor of Psychology at St. John's University. Welcome to one of our Master Therapist series. In these tapes, we will be showing live sessions of master therapists doing rational emotive behavior therapy. We have found over the years that therapists learn much more from watching a therapy session and modeling the behavior of the therapist rather than just watching workshops and reading books. Many trainees who watch therapy tapes want to know why the therapist made some of the decisions that they've done. They almost would like to get inside the therapist's head and think and listen to the conversations about why choose one intervention over the other. To help facilitate learning how to do therapy, we're going to have conversations with the therapist after each therapy session where we watch the therapy session and at key decision points ask each therapist why they made the decision that they did. Then the observer can see not only what the therapist did, but the ideas and the feedback and the information that they used in making those clinical decisions. We hope this series will be helpful for you in treating your patients and learning to make difficult clinical decisions and following through on the right therapeutic strategy.
Okay, so what's the thing you're most upset about at this point that maybe I can help you with?
Obtaining employment.
And what are you trained for?
I have skills in clerical, maintenance, I know how to paint, cashier, stock. I have quite a few skills.
And you have a resume together?
Yes,
and
everything.
Then how long have you been looking for work?
I've been looking for work since the end of February.
This February?
Yes,
okay.
This February. Just recently I obtained employment, but it's just a part-time messenger job. It's not really where my skills lie at.
But at least it brings in some bread,
something,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And what kinds of problems are you encountering as you're looking for work? What's making it difficult for you?
Basically it's the rejection. The rejection that you get, they tell you, okay, we'll call you. But when they say we'll call you, they never call.
And why do you think they're rejecting you?
Mainly because on my application, I'm honest. See, I like to be honest. And on the application, when it says, have you ever been convicted of a felony? I always put yes and put will explain upon interview. And that's basically what gets me the rejection is because, I have that conviction.
Have you actually made it to the interview on some of these? Oh, you have?
Yes.
So it sounds like they're at least willing to consider
they're willing to consider, but then, once they go to the interview, the first interview, then they have to take it to hire people.
Yeah, I see.
And then once you get up there, it's like, no, no, no.
So you don't make the short list.
Right.
I see. And how do you feel about that?
It puts me like in a bad space. Because it's like I'm out there every day, all day, trying and trying and trying, and people are just knocking me down and knocking me down.
Yeah. So if you were to give a name to your feelings, what would it be? Is it depression?
Frustration.
Frustration?
Frustration.
Any anger?
Anger, yes.
But no depression?
No, I don't get depressed.
Oh, I try
my best not to, get in that depression stage.
Okay, good.
Because once you get depressed, then, it's like you just want to give up.
Well, sometimes that also happens if you get too frustrated, too.
True.
You give up.
True,
right?
But see, I have people that I could talk to and everything, with things I be going through.
So maybe one of the things we could work on today is how to keep your frustration level down so that you don't get so bummed out when these disappointments come along.
Yes, and sometimes, my frustration builds up so bad that I have a tendency to be violent.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What happens when you're frustrated? So what do you do? What kinds of things do you do?
Well, right now I've been, talking, and there's a program called Alternative to Violence. I attended the first workshop. I'm waiting for them to send me the papers for the second one. And they give me knowledge on how to, like when you get angry and frustrated, how to not take your anger out on, your friend.
To do that?
Basically by talking. You can talk, or you can, go for a walk.
Talk to your friend?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to suggest a whole new ingredient in this toolkit then. Talking to yourself. I know you think people thought themselves crazy. But one of the things that psychology has discovered these days is that there's a lot of research that shows that people who think certain ways are more likely to get angry than, and if they learn to think in different ways about it, they can reduce their anger and frustration. So in other words, we feel the way we think.
Yeah.
So let's talk, what do you do when you're violent, by the way? What kinds of things have you done?
I've hurt people.
Like what?
Bad. You know, like my friend, for instance, we was real close, and she just did one little minute thing, which was put on a pair of my sneakers, you know, and that was something that I couldn't handle. But it was all the other anger that was built up inside of me that caused me to hit it, and I broke her jaw and I broke my finger, you know, in the midst of that. And, you know, it's like I really have to do something about that because I can't go around.
When did that happen?
That happened in '91.
Is that the time you were incarcerated?
That was before I was incarcerated.
And did anger have anything to do with what led to your incarceration? What went
because
on
you know, I had a job then.
Yeah.
But the job that I had was something that I really didn't want to do. So while I was working at the movie theater on 42nd Street, I was working there, and I met up with another guy, and he introduced me into selling, you know, drugs inside the movie theater. So I started selling drugs then, and, you know.
So that wasn't so much out of anger, it was just out of short-sightedness. Were you doing drugs at that point?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So you weren't in a whole
So
lot
it's
of
like I was in a whole nother world.
Yeah. So now it sounds like you got a more rational attitude. You're able to stick to things. You've stuck to this program.
Yes, because it's like now I have to think. Like you said, it's the thinking. I have to think before I react to things.
Okay. Now let's take then a very specific event. Let's see how we can learn to think differently about it. Is there a recent time you got really angry? Really angry?
Recently?
You know? Yeah.
Yes.
Could you?
March 3rd.
Yeah, what happened then?
March 3rd. My brother got killed March 1st. He's my only brother.
Oh, my God.
And I didn't find out until March 3rd.
Yeah.
And, you know, my beliefs in God and all that are very thin. Very, very thin, because my background, and I wasn't raised like that.
Yeah.
So after I found out, it was like the whole world.
Were you also angry that you didn't hear about it right away?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was very angry that I didn't hear about it before, and I started an argument with a few of the girls that's in the program where I'm at, because my mother told me that she called there, but the phone was always busy. She kept calling, but the phone was always busy.
Yeah.
And she couldn't find the office number at the time, you know, because she was upset.
Right.
You can understand that. And so I picked, you know.
I can understand it.
Yeah.
You do understand it at the time.
At the time, I didn't want to understand anything.
You just
I was very, very angry at the whole world, and particularly at God, who they call God. Why did he have to take my brother from this earth? You understand?
And you know, part of that anger is appropriate, because, you know, we don't want to take away feelings that are appropriate.
And I still have that anger inside of me.
The question is, what level anger, right?
Right now is at a level where I can control it.
Let's say if you had like a 10-point scale where 10 was like you're ready to kill somebody, and
I'm at
0,
5.
isn't it all? So
I'm
you're
at
at 5. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's not bad. That's
I'm
in the
at
right
5.
direction. You're not quite into the...
I haven't quite got over it yet, but, you know.
So the idea is not to say, you know, you shouldn't be angry. Angers are always bad, because there is some kind of anger that's appropriate. Maybe you could call it annoyance, frustration, that this unfair world that, you know, bad things happen to good people.
Yeah, he was a young man. He was only 28.
How did he get killed?
He got ran over by a truck, a pickup truck, when he was crossing the highway in Philadelphia.
Oh, my God.
Going to catch the bus. It's a real dark highway, and, you know, a lot of people have got hurt on that highway.
So it's hard not to feel angry, you know, at God.
I wanted to get on the bus, go to Philadelphia, beat up the man that was driving the truck, and everything.
And where would that have gotten you, by the way?
Back in jail.
Exactly.
Back in jail.
And how would that have helped your brother?
It wouldn't have.
How would it have helped you?
It wouldn't have.
I would have helped your mother.
It wouldn't have. It wouldn't have helped nobody.
So you had enough control in there to say, wait a minute, I could do this, but I'm not going to.
Yeah,
Is
and
that right?
I left out the program, but you know, I left out for maybe an hour or so.
Yeah.
Janet, at this point in the tape, the client talks about her desire to really, you know, to commit a violent act against the person who killed her brother, and you have her sort of review the consequences of that Socratically. What's the purpose of this strategy that you've used?
Well, in this case, it looked like she coped pretty well, because even though she was really angry, she got herself calmed down. She didn't get herself thrown out of the program. So I wanted to build on the coping strategies that she already has by sort of debriefing her and finding out what her thinking was that kept her from acting on her impulse to kill the driver.
She was aware that this would sort of get her in jail.
Yes,
And
exactly.
what did you think that helped to have her realize that the consequences would be negative for her?
To help her motivate to work on this whole program of anger management, to keep showing her that she can act on her initial impulses, but it's going to get her bad results down the pike.
Okay, let's watch some more.
Just to, you know, calm myself down.
Did you get into trouble for that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they understood.
How did you calm yourself down, by the way? Let's build on what you
I
have.
was walking and, you know, and saying to myself, you know, this is crazy. I don't believe this is happening. And I still cannot accept the fact that my brother is dead. I still cannot accept that fact. But I had to realize that whatever I did from that point on, it had to be something that my brother would want me to do. You know, because he always wanted the best for me. Even though I took the wrong road and he didn't, he always, you know, stuck by me and kept telling me, look, Melanie, you got to get yourself together.
So you lost your number one fan,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to think about it, that I can act in self-destructive ways,
Yeah.
or I can act in constructive ways, which is what my brother would have liked, and which is going to be better for me in the long run. So it sounds like you did some good thinking.
And that's what calmed me down, because I just kept thinking about all the things that he told me. You know, don't do this, don't do that, stay on the right track, you know.
Good.
So, and that calmed me down.
So it sounds like you're fairly okay with that. Well, maybe we got to go back to the situation where your woman friend took your shoes.
Oh, I was never okay with that. Because I just have this thing, do not touch anything that belongs to me.
Has anything like that happened more recently?
No.
Oh, well, let's go back to that. Could you remember some of your thoughts and feelings at that time?
Yeah,
I was
like,
let's deal with that.
You know, the way I felt like she just totally disrespected me.
Yeah.
Because I'm right there in my house, right? In the bed sleeping, I wake up and my sneakers is gone. And I was like, I don't believe this. And she said, well, you got a whole lot. You don't need to be, why are you acting like that over one pair? Because they are mine.
Okay, now let's look at your thinking in that situation.
I was not thinking in that situation.
That's right. Oh, you were.
wasn't.
You actually were. You weren't aware of it, but you were. Because let's try to put yourself back in that state. You wake up, you see the shoes are gone, and just see if you can just talk aloud anything that might have been going through your head at that time. You probably weren't aware of it, but just, like, talk about it.
The only thing that went through my head as soon as I seen that they was gone,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like that.
yeah, the kind that don't have no respect for nobody.
And what do you call a person like that?
Disrespectful.
That sounds like a nice word for it.
That's a nice word.
What's a nice,
Right now,
nice
but
word?
that's not the word that I use.
What were you thinking and saying at that
Right
point?
there,
You can say it. It's okay.
I was calling her a stinking dirty bitch
Okay.
at that time. That's
so
what I called
she's
her.
a stinking dirty bitch.
That's right,
Now.
because she put on my sneakers.
And that makes her a stinking dirty bitch.
Yes.
Okay, well that makes sense, doesn't it? We'll see if it does. Now we're going to test this out and see if these make sense. She's a stinking dirty bitch. She there.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're really mad, you don't even hear the thought. Okay. Rewind it and say, wait a minute. Let me take a deep breath. First, you got to calm your body down because your body's already out of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Did you stop and calm your body down?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. I just reacted.
Right. And would you like to learn to act under better control and more in your self-interest?
Yes.
And not just act to punish?
Mm-hmm.
You would. You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Why?
Because, that will make me a better person. If I keep going
I don't know if
around...
it'll make you a better person, but it'll probably get you in a lot less trouble.
Yeah, that's making me a better person.
Well,
because
it's making you a person who's acting better.
Yeah, now if I keep reacting the way I used to react,
Yeah.
I will always be sitting in jail.
That's right. That's right.
Because somebody will get tired of me and be like, I'm going to press charges.
That's right.
And I'll be back in jail.
But how is it that so many people that have been in jail say the words that you're saying, and then the next time somebody disses them, they get mad? It's like a New Year's resolution, right?
Yeah.
It's a big difference between making the New Year's resolution and being able to carry it out.
Yeah.
And this is the missing link, is to learn to
Carry it out.
do a whole bunch of procedures. The first step is you take a deep breath and you say to yourself, calm. Next step is to say, I have a choice. I'm not a rat in a cage. I don't have to automatically smash your jaw. I have a choice. I can get pissed off and smash your jaw, or I can calm myself down. So that's the second thing you tell yourself is, I have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And just because she dissed me doesn't mean I have to get enraged.
But that's how I felt.
So far, so good. Now we haven't even gotten to the real work yet. All right, let's look at these thoughts that you have, because these irrational beliefs that I wrote down so far is that she shouldn't have done this. She shouldn't disrespect me. She's a stinking, dirty bitch, and she must die.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody with those thoughts is likely to be very angry, right? Like if my one of my friends does something that I think is really rotten, and I start thinking to myself, she shouldn't treat me this way. This is awful. She's got to be punished. I'm going to be pretty angry.
Yeah.
On a scale from 0 to 10, where am I going to be?
About 9.
Yeah, probably.
About 9.
I don't think I can't do that, 'cause, every once in a while I still do it, because I've got to work at this stuff. Now, if I say to myself something different, I could calm myself down. In order to learn to say something different, I got to look at each of these thoughts and do something we call disputing them. And I'll tell you what that means. She shouldn't have acted this way. Anything wrong with that thought? Is that a logical thought?
No, because
Why not?
I'm saying she
Should.
shouldn't have done that.
And why is that a nutty thought?
Because that's just saying, that's throwing a statement at somebody.
Well, but even just thinking that in your head, what's crazy about thinking it?
Because you can't really say what a person shouldn't have done.
Exactly. Exactly.
I had to think about that for a minute, but you can't really...
Yeah, but you're right. That's exactly right. It's like my saying, it shouldn't be so cold out.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that a nutty
But you have
thought?
no control over that.
Exactly. You have no control. So what could you tell yourself instead? Gee, I love that she stole my shoes? That wouldn't be very rational.
No.
So what could you say to yourself instead?
Maybe ask yourself why she did
Yourself.
it. Yeah.
What could you say to yourself?
That's what I might have done, ask myself why she did it. But then that's still kind of...
Yeah, I don't think that's going to do it. How about something like, I really don't like that she did this, but I can't control the universe. People aren't going to always treat me the way I want. What do you think of that?
It sounds good now, but it didn't sound good then.
Does it really sound good now? Or does it sound kind of wimpy?
It sounds good, but then it also sounds like you just being a sucker. You being played.
That's a good point. We'll get to that in a minute, because there are really two parts of dealing with unfair treatment. One is how you feel inside, and the other is how you behave, how you act toward the other person. And one has a lot to do with the other, because if you're really enraged, you're very likely going to yell and scream and hit. If you're not as enraged, you don't become a doormat. You don't just sit there and say, oh yeah, let her steal all my clothes, you know.
Janet, when you first sort of suggest the rational alternative belief, the client, she sort of accepts it, but you realize that she doesn't really believe it and it sounds a little wimpy. And you ask her, does it sound wimpy? And she does sort of acknowledge that she doesn't think she could buy it because it would make her be a doormat. You know, what would your plan be to how to handle this, to make the rational belief in a way that's acceptable to her?
Well, first of all, by anticipating, as I did there, her resistance, because I'm thinking in the back of my mind, she probably thinks this is really wishy-washy stuff. I checked it out, and sure enough, I was right. So again, I would go back to showing her how if she continues to hold on to the irrational belief, she's really going to lose power. She's going to lose in the long run. She's going to feel bad. She's going to get bad results. And to reinforce the functionality of the preferences versus the demand.
Yeah. And then it seems like you're linking the rational belief to behaving assertively, that you'll be able to behave in a way that's not so wimpy. So she can associate the rational belief with some other response.
And she has the dichotomy that a lot of people do, that either you shoot off your mouth and you show the other person what a rotten person they're being, or you squash your anger down. And I'm trying to show her that there is a third alternative, that if you moderate your anger enough, you can come up with a much more adaptive response, which is likely to get you better results.
Great. Okay, let's watch some more.
You assert yourself. You say to her something like, look, you know, shoes are something very personal, and in the future I really don't want you taking any of my personal garments unless you at least check with me first. Wouldn't that be a quaint thing to say? Yeah. Can you imagine yourself saying it?
I can. I
bet you could better imagine yourself saying it if your body isn't completely out of control with anger. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So the idea is not to become a doormat. The idea isn't just to say, oh yeah, you take my stuff, or, you know, I'll go out and buy myself a new pair. The goal is to say, look, these are personal things that I paid good money for, and I don't want, you know, anybody else's sweaty feet in them. I just want mine.
Yeah.
Right? Is that wimpy?
No.
Okay.
That's just being straight out and forward.
Straight out, standing up for your rights, but in a way that doesn't attack the other person. And that's called assertiveness. You know what you call what you did?
Aggressiveness.
That's right. Assault is usually considered a pretty aggressive
aggressiveness
act. Even if it's verbal, you know, you're not going to get arrested probably for verbal assault, but you're also not going to get very good results. Because suppose you just didn't hit her, but you said to her, you goddamn stupid bitch, you know, get out of my life. Then what do you suppose that would have done? Would that have been effective?
No.
Why not?
Because it would have hurt her.
And?
On the inside. That's verbal abuse.
It would have hurt her, or maybe she would have gotten angry.
Yeah. But then, you know.
So it wouldn't have helped her do better next time.
No, it wouldn't help me either, because I'd just hit her again.
Wouldn't help the relationship. Okay. So let's look at the second thought here. That she's a stinking, I can't read my own writing. She's a stinking, dirty bitch.
Yeah.
Anything illogical about that thought?
Yeah, that's all foul language.
Well, that foul language doesn't necessarily bad.
And plus, a bitch is like degrading a woman.
So the thing that's wrong with her is that it's taking a woman who has some good behaviors, I assume, or you wouldn't be with her, and some bad behaviors, and it's making her 100% evil.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, isn't that what the prison system tries to do in a lot of respects?
Yes.
So that says not only did you do a bad act, and therefore you're going to have this consequence, it says you're a rotten, hopeless, worthless person, and then it gets carried into the job market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you get people who are going to be prejudiced against you because you've got a record. So you're engaging in the same kind of thinking they are when you're damning a whole person on the basis of their one behavior, aren't you?
Yeah.
You see that? I bet you, did you ever think of that
No,
before?
I never.
Yeah.
I never thought about
Might be
that.
a good
like
idea
that.
to think of that.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're acting so hot, because it would be nice if there were more employers out there who gave people a break. And it's not that your woman friend isn't acting badly. They are acting badly. It's just that you have a choice as to how bent out of shape you get.
Over
And that's
something.
why
Yeah.
you're thinking. So what could you tell yourself instead of she's a stinking, dirty bitch? Or that this employer is a stinking, rotten bastard.
Yeah, I say that too.
What could you say to yourself instead?
Okay, well, instead of saying something like that, I could probably say, well,
To yourself, in your own head.
to myself.
Remember, we're teaching you how to talk to yourself. Just like half of the New
All right,
Yorkers.
I would probably say something like, she shouldn't, no, because you saying that you should have done something.
And if you didn't, you're a complete rotten person.
Yeah.
So every time you're shooting yourself or someone else, you're really condemning them.
Yeah.
Which is not a helpful thing. So what could you say instead of should?
Stuck on that.
I wish that she had
I was thinking
not taken
maybe.
my shoes. I wish that these employers would at least pass me on to the second interviewer and let them make up their minds whether I'm a reformed crook or not, right?
Okay.
Whether I can do the job. Not just
I never used that word wish. I wish.
I'll bet you don't. People who with bad anger problems never even, it's not in their vocabulary. Lots of shoulds.
I never
right?
used that word, I wish.
I'll bet. Or I prefer.
That one either.
Okay. Now you got learn two whole new words. I wish and I prefer. I
wish and I prefer.
Prefer that she not act this way. Actually, I'm going to make out this form so it will cover both situations. Your friend taking shoes and employer
discrimination.
Discriminating. Okay, because it's a sort of.
And you can
there are
never
different
prove it.
kinds of-
You can never prove
No,
it.
you can't.
It is so hard to prove.
No. That's right. And they seem like very different situations, but they have exactly the same kind of thought processes behind it. They shouldn't act this bad way. They're rotten human beings. Should roast in hell.
Yeah.
And any other thoughts, and they must die. They must be punished. What's wrong with that thought?
They must be punished?
Yeah.
That's that's way beyond going. That's just totally anger thought.
And why is it nutty that people who act badly should die? You acted bad. You've done some bad actions,
and
right?
I didn't die.
And
so
do you think it would have been a good idea for them to kill you?
No.
To beat you?
No. So it's really wrong for me to even say that they should die.
Well, it's natural for you to think that way because you've probably been thinking
At that
that
time,
way. Yeah, and probably did your family think that way in certain respects too? That they would, did they have anger problems? Anybody in your family? No. You developed this on yourself.
And that's that's the hard part about it. I don't understand. A lot of people say that when you brought up in abusive families or something like that, then you develop to be an abuser. But I didn't have that. I was raised by my grandmother, so there was no beatings there, and none of that. No arguments in the house. Nothing.
She didn't put you down.
No.
Okay, but it all goes to show that it isn't the environment, because you can have people brought up in really nice homes and they can have the worst anger problems in the world, and you can have other kids that are brought up in unbelievably bad homes that somewhere along the line they got exposed to a good role model and they manage their anger okay.
Yeah.
So it's not the past that determines it, although it can certainly be a big influence, but it's what you're telling yourself in the present. So what would be a better thought to have towards someone who acts badly than that they should die or they should be beaten?
I wish they wouldn't act that way.
But
what
they did doesn't deserve for them to be murdered
a punishment.
or beaten.
Yeah, a punishment like
This
that.
punishment does not fit this crime.
Right. That's the same thing I...
How long were you in for?
2 years.
The full time?
Yeah.
Was that the only time you did?
Mm-mm.
What else? What other?
ROR, release on own recognizance.
Right.
Yeah. And the other time I did 6 months in Rikers Island for 2 cases. And then this last time is when I got sentenced to the 2 to 4. That was
so
in
you got a
93.
double standard. You think that it's unfair to be given those long terms for drug dealing? Was it dealing?
Yeah.
But it's okay for a woman who takes a pair of shoes to have her jaw broken.
Yeah.
Isn't that a double standard?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so
It's a little contradictory too.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you were to think of others as you would have them do unto you,
Right.
then you wouldn't think that the breaking somebody's jaw is an appropriate punishment. What if any punishment do you think would be appropriate?
No punishment whatsoever.
Except maybe
Just
verbal,
speaking to the person.
and telling them, look, I'm going to have to set up new rules. You don't take my clothes. And then maybe another rule that, if you violate this
But
again,
that's
I'm going to put a
what
lock on my
mostly-
closet.
Mostly that is what gets me upset though. Because
What?
if I already let you know that you can't do these things,
Yeah,
or I don't like you doing these things,
yeah.
and you do them anyway, then it's like, oh, you just disregard anything that I say. So
Yeah.
then I just felt the need to punish you.
Right. And the system has the same.
Right.
Did,
Yeah,
did you
because
know-
they set
Did
down
you know
laws.
several it?
No.
Okay, so humans being humans.
Yeah.
You self-defeatingly, they're going to act
Yeah.
the way they want, not the way you want. You acted the way you wanted, not the way the courts wanted you to. This woman acted the way she wanted, not the way you wanted. And that's the human condition.
Yeah.
So maybe a thing down there is the punishment doesn't fit the crime, and people who do bad, whoops, I ran out of room, things don't
Deserve
deserve
to die or be murdered. and
to die or be hit.
stuff. Okay.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see what we got so far in terms of rational reason. So far we got this, I wish that this hadn't happened, but it did, right? But it did. And this applies to both the employment interviewer, and this woman friend, but it did. What do we have? We don't have anything instead of she's a stinking dirty bitch. What could we say instead of that? How about she's a fallible, fouled up human being?
A fallible.
Fallible. Fallible means she's
Fallible.
imperfect. She's
Okay.
imperfect.
Or she's.
Human.
Yeah.
What would work best for you to remind yourself when somebody acts badly? To remind yourself that they're not a criminal, but
People make mistakes.
people make mistakes. And wouldn't it be lovely if employers thought that about you?
Yeah. It would be. It would be so
Wouldn't that be
marvelous.
nice?
Maybe I.
Like that. Mistakes. Okay? So people make mistakes.
But in like 2 more years from now, if I still don't have the job that I'm looking for,
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to find out what's going on now because, in 97, I will no longer have to be on parole or any of that.
Yeah.
And in 98, I graduate college. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
If I Yeah.
Well, chances are, though, you see, if you don't, how could you get yourself off the track? What could you do to shoot yourself in the foot, to really sabotage yourself between now and then?
Do any of the things that I used to do.
Including?
Including, you know, hitting people.
Including getting angry.
Including, yeah.
So it may take longer than the person who doesn't have a record for you to get a job, but the longer you go, proving that you can manage your anger and frustration and follow whatever rules, you know, are set up in the organization or in society, the better your chances are. You still might not have as good a chance for somebody who doesn't have a record, but, you know, that's reality. You can't undo the past.
And I'll be saying that to myself, too. You know, these people, they don't have no skills. They just don't have a record.
That's right.
And they hire people that they have to train for weeks and weeks and weeks.
That's right.
When they could just hire me.
But what's your thought? What's your thought at those times?
At those times, what is my thought?
Yeah.
They some stinking MFs.
That's right. They shouldn't be so unfair.
Yeah.
And how does that thought help you?
It doesn't, because then that causes me to get angry.
And then what does that do?
I go back, you know, like isolate myself in my room.
Right.
Away from everybody until I'm ready to talk.
So those MFs shouldn't be that way isn't a good thought. That's a stinking thought. What are we going to put in instead?
I wish they wasn't that way.
But tough.
Yeah.
TS, since we're into abbreviations. TS.
TS.
And you know, those are two of the most useful words in the English language. TS. You know what words I mean?
Tough shit.
Right. Tough shit. You're a hell of a lot better than, she's a rotten human being who must die.
Yeah.
Tough shit. You're not going to like it. I don't like this behavior. It's unfair. But I contributed to this. I didn't get my record from nowhere. I somehow participated in it. And even though I prefer that ex-offenders be given more of a chance, in this world, they're not. And that's too bad. Just as people of color are, you know, often given less of a chance than white folk, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
You have, huh?
I have both, you know, the color and the conviction.
And woman, and you're a woman.
Yeah. That's 3 strikes right there.
Right. Maybe some people prejudice against you because you're short. The people who succeed with exactly those same conditions versus those who don't are the ones that have a good philosophy. They have a good attitude, which is, I don't like this unfair treatment by the employment interviews, by the parole officers. I don't like it, but TS, that's the way it is. I got lemons, how am I going to make a lemonade?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah.
So now we have that people make mistakes. Tough. Great. Now let's see if you can put this into operation. What could somebody do that would really push a button for you now? What kind of thing could a person do? They get in your face, or I mean, what do you really hate?
The main thing that I, you know, don't like is for people to be yelling at me. I never liked it that, to be yelled at.
How peculiar. Gee, everybody I know loves being yelled at.
No, I never liked it.
You don't like being yelled at? You think I'd like being yelled at?
I don't know. Some people like to. You know, some people like that.
I mean, they may do things to provoke it, but I don't think most people like being
you
yelled
know,
at.
because like where I stay at now, there's a few women there that really do not know how to talk.
Okay, give me an example. Show me how one of them might talk to you.
Okay, now, like, one of the girls recently, this happened recently, she said, yo, Melanie, why, she asked me something, why I did something. Oh, why I went and told the counselor that she didn't do her assignment, right? But the way she presented herself to me was, like, very disrespectful.
And show me how she said it. Just do an
imitation.
Because
she said, yo, Melanie, why the fuck you go and tell Bernadine that you know, that.
Okay, good. Now, I'm going to put you to the test. I live dangerously. Stand by with the plaster and the splints. Okay?
All right.
So I'm going to act like in the way that you really have a lot of problems with. Obviously, I'm not going to be her, but I want to at least give you some sort of real-life stimulus. And I want you to try to follow through these steps to calm yourself down so that you don't break my jaw. Appreciate it. Okay.
All right.
You can yell if you want, but please don't break my jaw.
No, I'm not going to
Okay.
break you down.
What are the steps you're going to follow now when I shout at you? What are the steps you're going to go through? You remember? What's the first one?
The first one is to take a deep breath.
Or more than one deep breath.
Or more than one.
And what you can do as you exhale is just say, calm, cool it. You know, what you can do to remind yourself. Second thing you remind yourself of is what?
To remember that people are human.
People are human. And
People
they're
are human.
going to act.
In a way that I don't like,
And if they do,
then I just have to let them know.
whoa, wait, before you do that, so make sure you let them know in a constructive way. And what can you tell yourself about those people when they act badly?
I wish they wouldn't act like
But
that.
tough.
But-
they are.
But TS.
TS, exactly. I don't like it, but I can stand it. And I have the power to go off like a crazy person, or I have the power to, which will make me like them, right? Or I have the power to be a calm human being in charge of my feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
All right, Janet, at this session of the tape, you try to really reenact or role play one of the anger-provoking situations in this client's life, and you actually say the insulting, cursing things that have been said to her. What was your rationale for using this intervention?
Well, one of the things I've discovered over the years is you can get people to come up with the right and perfect assertive response, and you can get them to work on their coping statements, but the whole thing falls apart in the actual situation. If the right button is pushed, they're aroused and they're just shooting off their mouth, or their fist is on the person's jaw before they even heard the automatic thoughts. So you need to do a lot of in vivo practice to get them practiced in having their button pushed and then going through the sequence of steps to calm themselves down physiologically and cognitively.
So you're not just teaching them to do it in an abstract way, you're going to teach them and then have them practice it.
In real life, because it's one thing, you know, to practice your tennis serve in the gym. It's another thing to practice it on the tennis court when you got a real opponent out there.
And this is going to be close to real life. You
Yes.
really curse at her real good here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let's go back when we go through that scene. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Listen, why the fuck you tell Bernadine about the fact that I didn't do my chore? Why the fuck you do that? Why the fuck you do that?
First of all, I wish you wouldn't yell at me.
Well, I'm gonna yell at you. You weren't told on me. What are you trying to do? Get me into trouble? I'm gonna yell all I want. You got me in trouble. What do you expect me to do? Talk nice to you?
Yes.
Well, I'm not. You're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking
Second of all,
bitch.
I wish you wouldn't use that type of language with me.
Well, look, a bitch is a bitch. Let's call a bitch a bitch.
Okay.
You're a bitch. What am I going to call you? A nice person?
Yes.
Well, you're not. You're a bitch. You're a fucking bitch because you know, went and reported on me. You hear me? You hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Good. You're relieved. What do you think I am?
All right, Janet, we've just seen that you survived this reenactment and this role play, and maybe you could tell us how real it seemed to the client, how that she reacted during the whole situation, and how you felt doing it.
Well, I felt a little apprehensive about it, but I felt we'd established enough of a rapport at that point that I was willing to risk it, even though I knew she had the history of violent behavior. But as I was yelling at her in the role play, I could see her really kind of getting aroused. If you're really sitting up close, her hand was almost shaking as she was trying to control herself. And I talked to her a little bit afterward.
So it was really working. It was
yeah,
real.
because I talked to her afterward, and she said I was really, getting close to losing it at one point. I was really deep breathing like mad.
And what do you think that this whole exercise did for the sort of therapeutic relationship and for her faith in her ability to do this?
I think she had much more sense than she would have if we hadn't actually tried to put it all together in practice, because before she obviously got the steps, she had the rational coping statements, she had the general principle of, even though it's just a single session, she had the general principle of anger management, but there was really no evidence she could do it in the real life situation. And I could see her, going out and definitely still having her buttons pushed, but not as much if she keeps rehearsing this in advance. See, if I continue to work with her, almost every session I would want to throw something like this at her.
So the exercise actually taught her that she could do it when she was really upset, like she's going to be in the outside world.
Yeah, I sort of think of it like doing emotional nautilus.
Right.
You get your emotional muscles in order so that when you're in the real conflict situation, you're ready, you're prepared.
Let's watch the end.
That was like real
dangerously. Did that bring up some of the feelings?
Yeah.
You see, but you have a choice. You can be like a rat in a cage. You push a button and they go off, or you can be a human being who's in charge of her feelings, who doesn't have to act like the other nuts around her. That's very good. Could you do that with them?
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
Even if they just keep pushing at you.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, I suggest one more thing you can say, or in your own words, is to say, look, I don't mind constructive criticism, but I don't like being yelled at and put down. Now, if you could tell me more quietly what specifically you wish I had done instead, I'd appreciate it. I did the best I could in that situation. Or you have false information. I'm really not the one that's told Bernadine about this, you see. So you can still say something.
But in a calm
way, no matter what they're doing, because you just
remain calm.
Yeah, you're just being like a trained
nonchalant.
seal. They yell, you yell. They call you names, you call them names. Where does that get you?
Nowhere. We'll both be on restriction.
Okay, good. You think this could be helpful?
Yes.
Something you could try out?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to give you this piece of paper, which I hope you can read, which has, I've got to tell you which of them. These are the nutty thoughts, the irrational ones, and these are the more rational ones that can help you cope. Also, let me write on here, first is breathe deep and say to self, calm. Okay?
All right.
Do you have any questions
Do I?
about that? Any other thoughts? Do you see how this might be helpful to you with the employment situation?
Yeah, this can help me a lot because, it's like on a daily basis, it's something.
Sure.
It's something. It's always something.
That's right.
Always something. I could be on the train and somebody step on my toe and I'll be like,
That's right. That's right. But one of my friends says life is spelled Hassle.
Hassle.
Life is spelled hassle. And
Life
probably
is
a
a
given
hassle.
day you have maybe 300 hassles. Maybe I have 150.
Yeah.
And you have your choice. You can have hassles plus emotional disturbance. You can have hassles plus appropriate feelings, disappointment, frustration.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to feel happy when people hassle you. But
No,
hopefully
you're
you
not.
won't feel enraged.
Because, and this can also help me with the little messenger job that I have. Because yesterday I ran into a little situation delivering a package. And, the receptionist, she was like, what floor you want? Real nasty and everything. And I'm saying to myself, what is wrong with this woman? Then I just said, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. I had to.
But you felt angry inside.
Yeah.
Because what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking, who the hell is she talking to me like that?
She shouldn't treat me this way. That bitch. And what are you going to say to yourself next time?
People are human.
And next time an employer just, the next 10 employers don't hire you, what are you going to say to yourself?
Tough.
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 It's going to be harder for me than
Just keep moving on.
the average person, and I don't like it, but I can stand it.
Yeah, I can handle it.
Good, good. You got some good stuff. You got
Yeah.
a good rational part of your brain that sounds like it's
Yeah, it's coming back to life.
coming along. Yeah, right. Good.
It's coming
That's
back
great.
to life because for a long time, it was
Good.
like that first reaction, I just took it and ran with it.
Right. Or took drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now you have a whole new tool, which you didn't have.
A sober
before.
tool.
Well, a sober tool, you got a brain that can work and can, you have a new way of reacting to hassles other than drugging yourself out.
Yeah.
You can use your thinking. Doesn't cost you money, doesn't get you in jail.
Right. And it's easier and safer.
Well, it's actually not in a certain way. I mean, wouldn't it be easier to, shoot up or something than to work on, well, not at this point, but for most people who are still actively addicted, it's a lot easier when you feel frustrated to shoot up than to talk sense to yourself. That's very hard.
Yeah. But even when I was using drugs, that was a hassle too because you have to go to the store or even whatever shop is selling the syringes.
Yeah.
Then you gotta go purchase the heroin. Then you gotta go in the house and cook it up in the spoon.
Right.
So it
So it takes a long time too. That costs a lot of money.
And that costs us money.
Right.
So it's it's like on a funny scale.
Well, what do you suppose would happen if we taught this kind of thing to people who are still using?
What I think will happen,
Yeah.
hopefully what will happen was, some of them would actually catch on to that and look at it and say, well, she's right.
And maybe I might feel real good if I shoot up for a while, but with
then
this stuff,
afterwards,
I might be able to feel good for life.
Right.
Or feel
Then,
better.
Afterwards, after wear off the problem, the frustration, the depression, because you get depressed,
That's right.
the isolation, all that comes right back.
That's right. Good. But you've gone a long way, so I have every hope in the world that even though you think that you got a short trigger and you can't control it, that you can learn to do it. I know you can.
Yeah.
Don't you
Because
think so?
I'm willing
What
to
do you
learn.
think is the probability?
The probability?
Yeah, that you'll be able to start using some of this stuff.
It's very high.
Like what?
Like, okay, on a scale of 10,
100. Well, maybe there's
on a
100.
scale, now we're on 185.
Good. Good for
85.
you. Good for you. But it's going to take
85.
work.
It's going
not
to
just
take
going to
a
be,
while.
Yeah,
because,
you
I'm,
read this and you're cured. You
no,
got to really
I'm
practice
26 years old, going on 27. It's gonna take a while.
Right. If I were you, you type, you do word
Yes.
processing. Type these up, in real clear letters so that you can maybe
Yeah, I'm
carry
gonna put
around
them.
with your
I'm
wallet.
gonna put it
size
on,
card.
the
These
index
thoughts,
cards.
though. These, not these.
This, I'm gonna type it up
The
on an
rational
index
ones.
card
Great.
and put it in my wallet.
That's terrific. Ideas to help me keep my
Yeah.
cool. That's great. Okay,
So I
good.
can keep it with.
Terrific.